Hello, hello. Good
Hello.
morning, good afternoon, good evening to
Hello.
all the lovely ladies who are watching us today. This is Kusha from the Bespoke Designs, and I am here today talking to you from the Mompreneur Spotlight series, which is in celebration of Mother's Day that is literally just around the corner. So I'm hosting this special Mompreneur Spotlight series where we are highlighting incredible women who are building businesses while also raising families. So the idea is to interview inspiring moms who are coaches, entrepreneurs, professionals to share their stories, to share their lessons and wisdom from the journey of balancing motherhood and business. And I feel honored that today also we have an amazing guest. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start this celebration, the celebration of strength, ambition, and brilliance of mothers who are building powerful businesses and creating legacies. And the guest for our Mompreneur Spotlight series today is none other than Miss Priyanka Dube. Priyanka, thank you so much for taking time out and, accepting the invitation to be a part of the Mompreneur Spotlight series. So I know we are going to be talking about clarity, control, and confidence around money and compliance. But before we dive into that topic, I would really want you to go ahead and, share a little bit about yourself for our audience.
Hi, Kusha. Thanks for having me here. And I'm sure we all are having a really good time. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a chartered accountant, but more importantly, I'm a mom to a 6 year old. I have been in business for about 13 odd years now. And we've been, it's the normal journey that every woman or a girl has. So when we start, we are all in control. We know everything, and then just like that, we become mothers, and that's exactly what happened with me. So despite everything, despite knowing my core being finance and me knowing my money, I still found myself in a place where I thought, what the hell is happening? I don't know anything. So that's something that I learned, or rather, my journey as a mother taught me, and I'm sure it's not very different from all of us here. And everyone, pretty much globally, women are doing the same, working in the same pattern somewhere or the other. Yeah, that's what I feel. The fact that confidence and clarity go hand in hand as far as money is concerned is something that I truly believe. So that's something that I would like to, share more. And even with all our clients, I have worked with so many women entrepreneurs for now, and we've we've understood they have been so brilliant in their journey, like they know their core, they have been so confident about the work that they're doing. But somewhere where money and compliance is concerned, people tend to not be that comfortable. So when I began my journey as a CA, I thought maybe this is something that we should do more. And somehow we are not very confident, or very comfortable with the money even that we have earned. So that's something that I try and build with my clients, that there's it doesn't have to be perfect. We don't need to know everything, we don't need to be right every time, but what we need to be is intentionally um, in a very comfortable relationship with them.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I really like that point which you just mentioned that we need to be comfortable, around money. And I do know that there are a lot of women out there who are doing so well in terms of their business, but they still struggle. They still have confidence issues when it comes to money. And I think I want to just dive in straight away into our conversation and, just ask you more around this. But let's start first, with a little backstory about, your journey as a mother and entrepreneur.
Okay, so when I became a mother, I was working in the corporate, and I was working well. I was confident about the way I was doing my job, and I was doing well in my job. And finally, when this whole juggling period started, I had this constant tussle. Am I giving enough to my baby or to my job? Am I being honest? Am I not being honest? So these were the kind of questions that always was setting me back. And that's when I decided that maybe it's time that I build something of my own. So I started my own practice, and with the intention that I will build something of my own, just like many other women here would be doing. So to create a legacy for everyone, for their families, for themselves, and something to hold on to their own, something that they could be proud of. So that was the intent. That's what was my drive to start this. When I started, not very intentionally, but I started working with MSME structures,
Hmm.
entrepreneurs who wanted the MSME structure. In fact, even today, we work a lot with women who want to start their businesses, even men. There's no bias.
Hmm.
But when we started doing more and more, we understood the kind of challenges that a man starting his
Hmm.
startup and a woman starting her startup, they face are very different. So,
Right.
and it's mostly around, since I deal in compliance and managing their money, I know the approach is very different. So that's that. And I have worked with you know big MNCs like Fortune 500s and whatnot, names like Deloitte and Titan and GSK Pharma. These are places which give you global presence. I have been fortunate enough to work with clients who, sitting on the other side of the globe. So, and I have understood that the constraints that we have, our colleagues on the other side were also facing something same. When we would enter into casual talks, we would just be, the same people. There is no difference.
Yeah.
So, that's something which struck to me because I come from a very small town in West Bengal. The name is Asansol, and
Okay.
it's coal belt. There's schools, there are hospitals, just about the right kind of amenities, but not too great. So I had my own, constraints. I had my dreams. I thought I would get out someday, settle in a bigger city, and things like that. But for a girl who's coming from a very small town, sitting across someone, say in Germany, and talking about almost the same things, so that gives you a perspective that we are actually the same people facing the same kind of challenges wherever you are.
Yeah.
So this with this idea, I started my practice, and I chose my core to be MSME compliances
Hmm.
and all kinds of compliances. We do taxes for them. We help them start the journey, get into the whole GST thing, and then help them comply, and other compliances also, like factories and shops and establishment act, factories act, whatever compliance they require. So that's the kind of work that I do, and
Hmm.
this is the kind of people that I am around right now. So
Right.
that's okay.
Right. That's beautiful. I think, as rightly, you've mentioned, and I think I have similar thoughts around this, that whoever we are connecting with, be it locally or globally, they will. So we're all moms, right? And we're all in business, right? So we are going to have similar issues. And we all are humans more than anything. So we pretty much are facing the same emotions, the same thoughts, the same beliefs, the same inhibitions, so the same confidence issues and the same lack of knowledge for certain things, and looking for the right kind of people to guide us, to support us. And I think, especially around money, which you are saying that you've been working with MNCs and now with MSMEs also, so I feel that you get an idea of both worlds. Somebody who is managing a multinational corporation or somebody who is just starting out, a businesswoman who has a startup, and what kind of struggles, what kind of issues they would be having. So my next immediate thought is, how does one manage motherhood and money decisions?
Okay, so that's again something that takes me, just I would ask a few very simple questions to myself. What is the intent uh, that I have about this money that I have? Should I, and importantly, I should separate this money from the personal money, and the business money should be different. There should be a line that doesn't just create bifurcations in the name of just accounts, but it creates a sense of security. So that's something that I would do. A is, as I said, the intent, that what do I need this money for? My goals would be the
Hmm.
third. Like, for example, I would be thinking, have I saved enough for my retirement, or am I putting certain amount aside for my kids' education?
Hmm.
So that's something that I would be thinking about. Why I would be doing this is because, when again, this takes me back to the time when when I was starting off. I would always, coming from a structured job, when you go into business, the money flow instantly becomes uncertain,
Yes.
and then you are on a certain life living standard, and then
Yes.
you have to balance that.
Yes.
And also, at the same time, there is a little one who's
Hmm.
watching you show up every day with all
Yeah.
these challenges, how you are managing. Especially
Hmm.
from my perspective, I wouldn't lie if I would say that I was tempted to just leave everything and be with my baby all the time. But
Yeah.
that's when I also started to ask this question: what am I building for her? What am I building? Not my husband. What am I
Right.
building? And not just in terms of money, in terms of what am I teaching by action. Children learn by actions. So if I am very clear and confident with my money, if I know what to do with say I'm earning X amount, 100 rupees, am I saving the 50? Where is my saving goal based? So, and what kind of legacy am I building, both in terms of my business and in terms of my money? So these two things would be something that would be my mindset when I would be planning my money, and is what often suggest my clients also: separate both the things and then
Right.
do goal oriented savings.
Awesome. Okay. That's a very planned and structured way for somebody who is, just starting out and or is probably confused, when in terms of how they should be managing money. Do you also want to share what was the biggest challenge that, you faced while you were building your business?
Yeah, sure. So that is something that there were many. That first and foremost was that I I think before I became a CA, we start to earn. We do our articleships, we
Yeah.
do internships, and we are in a constant habit of being independent money
Hmm.
wise. So that's something, and it's a certain money flow. It's not
Hmm.
uncertain. I know what I have signed up for, and this is the kind of money that I'll be getting at the end of the month. That stopped happening when I took this decision. That's A. So, first is that I would never connect my worth or my self worth to my money. That's something that I segregated. It
Beautiful.
is about me, or what I am, bringing to the table. As I read somewhere very recently, I am the damn table. And it was so nice. So that's the self doubt that I had to overcome. And then when you start to build, I'm sure it may appear a little, cliched, but it does happen that you don't get trusted well.
Hmm.
Being a woman chartered accountant, people would hesitate. They would, men,
Yeah.
they bond over so many things, and it's
Hmm.
easy to discuss money with
Yes.
them. Okay, so that's something that was also happening. But eventually, when you do the right kind of work, and when you present your work, when people become confident that yes, she can manage what I have come to her for, people leave that bias aside.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's also something that, like any other entrepreneur, who's a mom, they would also have those same challenges. Uh,
Yes.
so yeah.
Great, great. Thank you so much for sharing this. I think the women who are listening to this, they will kind of agree because, like you said, similar issues, starting out, saving enough, exhausting your savings, and then, going through that challenge of a male. It's a man's world, and then make a place for yourself. And I know this for a fact, especially in terms of the financial industry, women are still, they're still like they still have to make a place for themselves. And like how you said, I am the damn table. There are still so many women who have this struggle, to believe that they are the damn table, that where they sit, that's where the table is. So I know that there is still this issue, or there is still this kind of, lack of confidence. So I want you to share for, our audience, how can they grow confidently and, kind of manage the stress in terms of money, in terms of compliance, and overall even building their confidence in finances, and sort of being in control of it without feeling overwhelmed.
So, Kusha, I would say that it's a very simple process, like my our moms used to do. They used to be very clear. They had a budget in mind, and not a
Yeah.
pet would go here from here to there, right? From what?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's something that we have all inherited. It's
Hmm.
something that we all know how to do.
Hmm.
But somewhere, with the changing times and the increasing consumerism, the habits get diluted a bit. But I would
Hmm.
still suggest that one has to be very clear with
Mhm.
their relationship with the money. The intent should be very clear of what I need to do with this, when I need to do with this, deal with this money, and
Mhm.
how much do I need. That's the how much, because when you know your goal. So your saving should be goal oriented.
Mhm.
Your earnings could be anything. Your earning could be anything, but you should be in absolute control of how you have to spend this money.
Okay.
That that's something that you need to know. As for
Mhm.
compliance is, I think, and I know many won't agree, but I believe it's the simplest and the easiest thing to do. You just need to set up calendars.
Hmm.
That's all you need to do. And for example, many of us, we sit and plan our taxes in March.
Yeah.
So, but that's not something that we should do. We should plan it across the year.
Right.
We should have the vision
Mhm.
to know at the beginning of the year that what is it that I should spend it for? How would it benefit me in terms of tax? Also, there are so many government, benefits that come across with your tax planning. For example, NPS and schemes like that, which helps you plan for your future, and also
Right.
give you an extra tax benefit. So things like that, we should always do it across the year,
Mhm.
and we should do it systematically. We should set up our calendars. We know that the GST filing has to go at a certain date,
Yeah.
and we need to follow up. We need to start, collating our papers. We have to be ready with our documents. So this is the date I start. By this date, I need to finish. And all this clarity comes. This planning can only come when you have that kind of clarity,
Yes.
that these are my compliances. Say I am running an X business.
Hmm.
I should always know what am I supposed to be compliant with.
Hmm.
It's not about your CA or your planner, financial planner. They should know, of course, they know the core, but you should know it too.
Hmm.
If not on a very deep down level, on the highest level, you should be aware of
Hmm.
where is it that I have to comply, because it's very very important. You are the person who has to comply with. It's not
Yes.
the PA. If say something goes wrong, something goes downhill, it's you who is
Yes.
liable.
Yes. Yes.
So that's, and no matter how much you tell him or her, or you blame them, whatever, it's you.
Yeah.
It's your, responsibility. That awareness is one thing. Your planning comes next, and then comes your execution.
Right.
And just listen to your CAs. When they ask for papers, just give it to them, is all I would say.
I love the last statement because that's what even I end up doing, that if they need something, you just provide it to them and make life easy because their
Yeah.
job is to make sure that you get that kind of, your accounts, your balance sheet and your account statements and your taxes all, are taken care of, submitted in time. But then if we are not supporting them by providing the right documentation, obviously it can be a big challenge for them as well. And I think it's been amazing talking to you, Priyanka. And I hope that so many women out there who are watching this will agree and will go back and first gain that kind of knowledge and educate themselves around the importance of compliance, of having control around money. And then maybe I have a feeling a lot of people don't even hire a financial planner. So everything happens just last minute, just like how you mentioned that
Yeah.
we wake up in March and we start looking for, the receipts and the invoices and where is the GST and all sorts of things. So I feel that this is going to be like a wake up call for so many mompreneurs out there that, do the thing because it's eventually your business, it's your money, right? And if you don't be in control, of your money, then nobody else is coming to sort of help you to grow that. So I feel that it's so easy to make money, but the hardest part is to grow money from money. So I'm so glad we are having this conversation here, Priyanka. So what legacy do you want to create for your children?
So, Kusha, as I said, both are my babies, my baby and my career.
Yes.
Both are mine. And it's not like if I have to be a good mother, I need to give up something. That's something
Hmm.
that I understood very early on, thankfully. And this is what I would like my daughter to know as well. To have ambitions is not a bad thing, and
Hmm.
she needs to have them. To
Right.
and she has to learn it firsthand from me. So that's a legacy that I would like to leave for her. And being happy and comfortable in one's soul is very important. And you do not need to be pressured to follow a certain stereotypical lifestyle or, path. That's something that I would, because that creates sort of a pressure
Yes.
that, you have to be in a certain way, you have to follow this and that. No, you just have to be happy.
Hmm.
Happiness is important, and at the same time you have to be driven. Being driven is very important, because otherwise, if you do not have a purpose, then what kind of a person or human will my child become if
Hmm.
they do not have a purpose? It could be anything. It may not give any sort of financial return, but that person has to be really good at what drives that person.
Right.
If I want to paint, for example, I should do it with such focus, dedication and hard work that I become a good painter, and not by
Hmm.
others level, by others they won't decide. It should
Yeah.
make me happy, and it should be something that I can validate, and I should
Absolutely.
not need any external validation. So that's the constant struggle that I'm sure every mother has. Even in today's date, we do not want our children to be doctors, engineers, lawyers, or anything.
Yeah.
We just want them to be happy, but at the
Yeah.
same time we want them to be driven, and we want to teach this first with first hand experience. We want them to learn this from us.
Yeah.
So that's something that I would want to give to my child as well, like many others.
No, that's amazing.
Be able to learn this from me.
I want to agree with everything you said because I truly believe in the same that having the right kind of values and becoming a kind human being, I feel, is most important instead of all the materialistic things in the world. And I feel that as much as education is important, but then the right kind of education and awareness, which will help them to, make thoughtful decisions and be compassionate in life. I feel that is something every child should be raised with. But then what you mentioned is equally important, that they should be happy and they should have a drive, that what is it that will light them up every single day and they would want to do it with pure passion and dedication, and they would love to do it. So finding their true joy, true love is important in terms of, what they are passionate to do. And I think we are almost at the end of the interview, but one last question, and this is something that you would like to challenge our audience. Is there any one actionable task that you would want them, to do? So please let the audience know.
So this is something very interesting, which we all should do. I believe is write a gratitude journal with five things that small, big, anything which made you happy in a particular day, and maybe in the end of a month or so, just prepare a goal for each month. Doesn't matter if we are achieving those goals or not, but being comfortable with your intent is important. So write down your big and small gratitudes and just be in line with your goals. So I maintain it personally.
Okay.
I keep a journal where I would write down what I want to, what changes do I want to see, even in my business, in my personal self, in my business, whatever is happening. I would write my big fives of the day
Good.
and where I want it to go, by the end of the month. That's something that I would maintain. And it is not to be pressured as such, but
Yeah.
you would see that after a while, your gratitudes would be in line with your goals. They would always be in sync. Maybe not
Yeah.
at the beginning, but
Yes.
after a while, they would work hand in hand. So that's
Abs-
something that works for me. I would like everyone else to try and see if it works for them as well. The other thing is that just maintain a calendar for your compliances.
Okay.
Don't wait for your CAs to maintain it for you. You maintain it. Be proactive. Try that, and life will be so much easier.
No, that's a beautiful actionable item, which is having a gratitude journal and, maintaining it and putting in 5 things every day. I really hope people can start this activity. It's slightly difficult for people who are not used to doing it. But like we said, it's a challenge. So whoever is ready to accept the challenge, go ahead, give it a try, and maybe come back and let us know how you feel and how it helped you in terms of even achieving your goals, even keeping you focused on your goals, and if nothing, at least moving you one step forward towards your dreams, your ambitions, and your goals. So, Priyanka, thank you so much for your time once again. It's been so amazing talking to you and knowing about you and all things related to money and compliance. And for those of you who are watching this, if you do feel to connect with Priyanka, definitely we'll leave the links or the information where you can connect with her below this video clip. So go ahead and check that out. And if you need any help or any consultation, definitely Priyanka is the person that you can connect with. With that, we come to an end to our today's Mompreneur Spotlight series. And it has been amazing doing these interviews and talking to such amazing, inspiring mompreneurs. And definitely, I will come back again with yet another guest. Until then, all of you, take care. This is Kusha signing off. Bye bye.